How loud should your mixes be? What level are you looking at on your master fader? Should we just avoid the red? Should we be aiming for -6, -12? Who knows? Somebody better know. What up? It's your boy Wavy Wayne. Today we're going to take a look at metering levels in Pro Tools. It's very crucial that you always keep an eye on your meters. Now, this is whether you're recording or if you are mixing. You always want to keep an eye on those meters. You want to make sure that the signal ain't coming in too hot or too low, all right? Now, metering on input. Let's talk about that first. When you are in the booth, when you have an artist in the booth, what you want to aim for is a -6 input level, -6 dB input level. Now let's take a look at my Pro Tools screen, right? I'm going to use this, let me go see which track I want to use as an example. Okay, cool. I'm going to use this track as an example. It's one I have highlighted, and I'm going to even change the color to pink for y'all, because I know that's y'all favorite color. So, got this nice pink track, all right? On this pink track, and then I'm going to change the name. Look at me. You ain't gonna be able to see that, but look at that one. I'm gonna say look at me. Okay, cool. So -6. Now when I say -6, I don't mean for you to go and adjust the fader, right? This ain't going to get you to -6. Nothing inside of Pro Tools can change your signal input level. Write that down. Nothing inside of Pro Tools can change your signal input level. Nothing, okay? Nothing inside of this Pro Tools software, not moving the fader up, not changing your compressor, not changing your EQ, nothing inside of Pro Tools is going to change the level that your signal is coming in at. So if you're recording a signal and it's coming in too softly, if it's too quiet, then that means you need to change it up in one of 3 places. Or if it's coming in too loud, same thing. If it's too loud, if it's too quiet, if you just don't know that you're supposed to change the signal level, that's a whole nother video, all right? So if your signal is coming in too loud or too softly, you got 3 choices, all right? First choice, change the source volume, all right? The source volume is typically going to be, you know, whatever it is that you are recording. So if I'm recording Lil Jon and I'm like, yo, Lil Jon, you know, you coming in a little too loud. I'm going to need you to turn down. And he's going to be like, turn down for what? And then, you know, I'm going to be like, you know, well, because you're a little too loud. And he's going to be like, what? And I'm like, well, forget it. So that one ain't going to work, okay? Adjusting my source volume ain't going to work if I'm recording Lil Jon. But if you're recording like a keyboard or a guitar or some kind of instrument, adjusting the source volume is a great way to go to change your input level. Another way to change your input level, microphone placement. If you have the microphone close to the source, the signal will be louder. If it's further away from the source, it's going to be quiet. Close, loud, far, quiet, okay? So microphone placement is another way. So, you know, I got Lil Jon in the booth again. I'm like, Lil Jon, he going to be like, can you step back away from the mic? And be like, if you don't give a damn, we don't give a... I'm like, no, can you step back? He was like, what? Do the A-time stomp. No, man, that's not, he ain't gonna get it, okay? So now, I can't have him step back either, all right? So boom, I can't change my microphone placement in that case. So that leaves me only one other option. And it ain't changing this fader in Pro Tools. The only other option is change the preamp, the gain on your preamp. Changing the gain on your preamp is the way that you can adjust the microphone signal level. In most cases, especially when you're recording vocals lists, that's gonna be your #1 option, right? As long as you got optimal mic placement, right? You got the right mic choice. Right, and you got an artist, you don't really want to change the artist, man. You don't want to tell them, you know, oh, sing louder or sing quieter, because that, unless you're the producer, if you're the producer, then do that. If you're not the producer, stay away from that. So microphone, the gain on your microphone preamp, it's either on your interface or if you're using a hardware preamp, it'll be there, okay? So make sure you watch the meter and that you are aiming for a -6 input level when you're looking at your Pro Tools track. So as I record enable this track, which I'm going to undo now, but I'm looking at the meter as I am playing back once I'm recording. So always just start recording from the jump anyway. Don't wait until your artist say they ready, you know, record everything. Like, yo, record the first take, record everything while they in the booth, okay? So I'll start recording, and as I'm looking at the meter,
You're an irresponsible lover.
I want my signal to kind of average about this -6. Now, what we're seeing right now is not my -6 average. Why? Because of a really key detail, right? I'm not monitoring my input levels. Let's go and figure out how we can monitor our input levels. You can do this real easy by going up to the options menu and choosing pre-fader metering. This is going to show me my meters before I make any changes to this track. Now, if you're recording, you don't have to worry about that at all. But what I see a lot of time is when students are mixing, they'll be working and trying to make sure that they got their levels right and they metering and all that. And all the whole time they're looking at pre-fader meters, right? So you're not actually seeing the levels of any of your adjustments if you have pre-fader metering turned on. Major key, make sure you check that out. Again, if you mixing, you probably want to turn pre-fader metering off for the most cases. And if you're recording, well, on the record enabled track, as you're recording, it automatically switches to being pre-fader metering. So I honestly never turned this on, except in this case where I want to give you an example of what my input levels were. So let's look.
You're an irresponsible lover. I know about Michelle and I know all about the others. You think you move so undercover, but the more I take, the more that I discover.
So again, if you notice, right, looking right about this -6 on the right side of my meter, and in Pro Tools 12 now, they even have the a little indicator, a little peak indicator at the bottom. You can use that as well too. You'll see a peak indicator pop up. Now again, I'm using Pro Tools 10 because I'm an OG, okay? So they'll have a little peak indicator down there. But this -6 is where you want to aim for on your meters. You want to see that your signal is kind of peaking around that -6. Now, if you notice, it went sometimes a little above it, sometimes a little below. But that's the average input level that I'm aiming for. And then on the opposite spectrum, for the full mix, as I'm mixing, and let me turn my pre-fader meterings back off because I don't need that anymore. Options menu. As I'm mixing, I want to make sure that pre-fader metering is turned off, right? Make sure it's turned off. And I'm always going to be looking at my master fader. During the mix, I always keep my master fader at unity gain. I don't want to adjust the full level of the mix using my master fader. So I basically make sure that my tracks levels are in line to make sure I get to where I need to get to, okay? So again, in this case, I'm just working with a 2-track beat. So before I even started recording, what I did was make sure that the beat was peaking right at or below my target input level. So again, if I'm aiming for -6, it would not be wise, and you can see I use my clip gain a little bit to bring that down. All right, it wouldn't be wise for me to have this beat already clipping at -0.1, and I'm trying to record on top of it. That gives me absolutely zero headroom, and I'm not going to be able to hear my vocal over it. My artist's going to end up screaming, or we just going to be in here having a hell of a time hearing what's going on. So the first thing first is make sure your music level is below or at where your overall level is going to be, or the input level that you're going to set your vocals to. But anything that you should record, you want to try to aim for that -6 dB level on your input meter. Even if it's going to be backgrounds or anything like that, you don't want to record it too quietly. You can always turn it down. You want to make use of that maximum dynamic range, right? So again, on my master fader, during my mix, I'm looking for that -6 average for my entire mix. So I start to, adjust things, and as everything comes together, I want about a -6 dB average on my entire mix, okay? Now, why do I want that? That's going to be able to make sure that I have enough headroom for any mastering processes that's going to happen, right? I got to make sure I got enough for that. Also, any peaks that may come through, right? I want to make sure that they go through without clipping. Sometimes parts of the record are going to get louder than others. I want to make sure those parts don't start to clip and ultimately distort in my session. So I'm, again, making sure I got that average -6 loudness. Now, why not go quieter? Well, the quieter the signal is, the closer you are to the noise floor. And ultimately, everything is going to get brought up. So if I'm mixing too quietly, once we start adding heavy compression and limiting and everything, all the noise is going to rise up as well. So I want to stay away from that floor. And also I want to stay away from my ceiling. You just want to be wavy, baby. You want to float right where you need to be floating at. All right. And that's about that -6 dB on your input and on your master fader, your output. All right. -6 dB. Remember that. -6. That's the Wavy Wayne tip of the day. Your monitoring levels and your input levels are extremely important. So make sure that you always keep an eye on your meters. No matter what, keep an eye on those meters. Leave a comment below. Let me know what topic you want to see me cover next. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you later, all right? Be dope.